Hi everyone! Today we'll be talking about one of my favorite bands, as you may be able to tell by the shirt. We're talking Arctic Monkeys. Now I've had the pleasure of listening to their discography all week to come up with the cream of the crop. I'm calling this, undeniably, the top 10 best Arctic Monkey songs. And just to stir things up a little bit, I'll have my pick for an overrated song at the end. But in the meantime, let's get to the top 10. At number 10, we have Suck It and See from the album of the same name. By 2011, Arctic Monkeys were very far from their Sheffield roots. In 5 years, they had gone from being young upstarts to headliners with the biggest font imaginable. It hardly mattered anymore what they sounded like. They sold tickets. They were an institution in the UK. It had been 2 years since the politely received but hardly revered third album Humbug. Alex Turner had been living in New York City, which he credits for him using English colloquialisms more. That's where the album title and title track come from, Suck It and See. To American audiences, it sounded so lewd that major retailers censored the cover, which was simply the phrase, "Get your mind out of the gutter, Walmart." The phrase simply means give it a go, and for Arctic Monkeys, that meant making a brighter, more vintage-sounding rock record after the blacklight vibes of Humbug. Turner said he wrote most of the songs on acoustic guitar. Suck It and See starts as a placid ballad, with just the vocals and guitar, a little treble, starkly naked, until the band kicks in and it's a full wave of optimism. Providing a steady beat and the 70s AM radio gentle background vocals that accent the no and go. It has a melancholic jangle, but is surprisingly warm. Turner has more classic couplets. That's not a skirt girl, that's a sawn-off shotgun. And I can only hope you've got it aimed at me. He's still cheeky, but he's wearing his heart on his sleeve. The album as a whole doesn't have as many true classic cuts, but Suck It and See is one of their most relaxing, feel-good songs. At number 9, we have Do I Wanna Know from AM. Some Arctic Monkeys critics claimed that Suck It and See was a more Americanized form of the band, and pointed to the music video, which featured Easy Rider bike gangs and American blondes. The truth was, the album, despite Alex Turner living abroad, definitely still had a British songwriter vibe, certainly some Ray Davies in there. But they hadn't really broken through to the US. While they were superstars in the UK, they were respected, but hardly adored stateside. The album AM and its inescapable first single, Do I Wanna Know, changed everything. The year prior to its release, they embarked on their first North American stadium tour supporting the Black Keys. Playing huge venue after huge venue really helped them tap into this Zeppelin-sized rock and roll that could melt faces at hockey arenas, outdoor pavilions, and Madison Square Garden. Picking up where twin sister, the Suck It and See stepchild, left off, AM takes the heavy guitars and bottom-sized drums and pairs it with some of their catchiest material to date. Do I Wanna Know rides a hip-hop indebted steady clap over a spidery, earworm guitar riff that guitar teachers will be showing their students for years to come. The beat is in no hurry. It's a confident strut. There's a full 30 seconds of it until Alex Turner's come on start. The falsetto vocals, do I wanna know, are his inner doubts haunting him, causing him to spill drinks on his settee. And then it erupts into the emotional rock of ever thought of calling when you've had a few? He's in a strange headspace, but the ambiguity is a killer groove. It kicks off AM crawling back to you and getting inside your head. At number 8, we have Cornerstone from Humbug. Arctic Monkeys released the 1-2 punch of their first 2 albums in back-to-back years, hardly taking time for a break. Following those two, Alex Turner took some time to record and tour with his Baroque pop side project, The Last Shadow Puppets, which allowed Turner to indulge in some more freewheeling artistic whims. And this couldn't help but inform the approach to the next album from his main gig. Decamping to the Joshua Tree Desert, the band began sessions with the man affectionately dubbed Ginger Elvis, Queens of the Stone Age's Josh Homme. They had previously opened for Queens, and Homme took a liking to the Young Rascals. While it didn't completely reinvent their style, there was some new stoner rock vibes. Songs that were a bit weaker in the hooks, but more vehicles to open up and explore their taste. While most of the album was recorded under the California sun, there was a short session in New York City with longtime producer friend James Ford. This is where Cornerstone was captured. Turner recalled that it was quickly written one morning, with a challenge to write something in a major key that didn't sound cheesy. Cornerstone is a dingy, nighttime recollection, and a precursor of the debaucherous tales later spun on AM. It's a very sweet-sounding ballad, with some questionably honest lyrics, both poetic and specific as always. The rhythm is understated, but it suits the mood well, and the reverse guitar solo effects fit the hazy fishbowl scene. While they were primarily known for their rave-ups up to this point, Cornerstone showed that they were no slouches on their slow jams. At number 7, we have Marty Bum, from Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. The incubation of the group happened back in 2001 in Sheffield, where Alex Turner and his next-door neighbor Jamie Cook both received guitars for Christmas. After seeing the Vines with primary school friend Matt Helders and going off to college, the group would form, with Turner and Jamie Cook on guitars, Helders on drums, and secondary school chum Andy Nicholson on bass. This would form the original lineup to the band. Allegedly, they took their name from Cook's fantasy football, with some saying it was a tongue-in-cheek way to derogatorily describe someone from Northern England. The group would spend a year practicing in their parents' garages before gaining enough confidence to start gigging. Initially, Alex Turner did not want to be the singer. The group idolized the Strokes and didn't think they were quite as cool. But with no better options, Turner relented and became the frontman. Helders would later say he became it because he had a way with words. His biting wit and verbose storytelling would be one of the signatures to the Bunky sound. Marty Bum is an early classic from his pen. It's a very detailed and wry account of a fight with a significant other. The guitar jangles during the verse, and the band slows down during its wistful chorus. The short bridge is a brief, angry outburst of a rebuttal. When you say I don't care, but of course I do, I clearly do. At their headliner set in Glastonbury 2007, the audience sings along with every syllable, with Turner finally joining in on the second verse. It's an evocative vignette and a wordy, surprisingly tender sing-along. At number 6, we have Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High, from AM. Following the somewhat muted release of Suck It and See, it would have been easy for Arctic Monkeys to retread the past, tossing out albums every 2 years and settling in as the elder statesmen of UK rock. 4 albums in, and it certainly felt that way. But the band had achieved success so early that by 2012 and their 5th full length, the lads weren't even sniffing 30. Restless as always, the group decided to take a different approach than their prior albums. Instead of rehearsing and recording songs live together as a band, they envisioned a new direction where the studio would play a huge role. AM was primarily recorded with bass and drums first, emphasizing the rhythm as a basis to build off of. Talking about influences for recording, Outkast, Dr. Dre, and Aaliyah, specifically her work with Timbaland, were cited. The boys had grown up with rap, of course, but had never clearly drawn inspiration from it. Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High has a G-funk vibe, with its creepy beats that are funky but downbeat. Turner's slurred come-ons sound desperate, simply read out loud, but with its stuttering rhythms and lurching bass line, it's full of swagger. I need a partner, well are you out tonight? The falsetto repeating the title makes it even hornier, as our protagonist continues his insistent booty call. It would be the Monkees' first top 10 hit since Fluorescent Adolescent off their second album, and so widely appreciated that Miley Cyrus would cover the song to rave reviews. Never had lascivious depravity sounded so cool, or desperation sound so sexy. Number 5, we have Brainstorm from Favorite Worst Nightmare. The hype surrounding Arctic Monkeys after their meteoric rise in the UK was breathless. They were the biggest UK band since the Beatles, instant sex symbols, and saviors of rock and roll. With all that hyperbole, the band couldn't help but feel that a backlash was brewing, and wanted to record the follow-up as quickly as possible. It was recorded in a few weeks. Turner would later say, "We didn't want to give ourselves enough time to second-guess ourselves." Under the enormous pressure to deliver another hit after the unprecedented smash of their debut, they delivered with a bolder and brasher one in Favorite Worst Nightmare. Brainstorm was the first single off it, and similarly kicks it off with a seismic bang. The song has no chorus. It's propelled by the dueling, demented surf rock guitar attack of Turner and Cook, and the incredible, thunderous drumming from Matt Helders. It's hot sonic fury. Reportedly inspired by meeting a strange man named Brian backstage in Tokyo, Alex Turner describes the mystery man as some kind of punk rock James Bond. Someone to kiss, someone to kick you. There's not a net that you can slip through. There's no meaning meant to be parsed, no higher parable. Just a glimpse into the life of the young Globetrotters, full of clattering riffs, mountainous drums, and tons of excitement. At number 4, we have When the Sun Goes Down from Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. When Arctic Monkeys first blew up, they were hailed as revolutionaries, circumventing the mechanics of the music industry and showing it was possible to have incredible hype by word of mouth. Their grassroots success came with them giving out free CDs of their rudimentary demos at their gigs. It was just a way for them to get their music out. They would hardly guess about the impact that it would later have. Fans would share the demos online, to the point that it was unofficially named Beneath the Boardwalk by some bloke, and they ran with it. Their popular MySpace social media page wasn't even set up by the band. It was run by eager fans. Beneath the Boardwalk had an ambiguous track listing because it was hardly official, but it included many of the songs that would end up on their debut album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. When the Sun Goes Down was the second single after the smash hit, I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor. Originally titled Scummy, Turner weaves a tale of a seedy scene near the studio of a sad sex worker and the dirtbag picking her up. It starts off sympathetic, with clean guitar chords and earnest delivery for the lady of the night. It slowly adds Nicholson on bass, and then the kick drum enters with clashes of guitars, where it speeds up into intense, dancey post-punk. Just like there is a difference in that shady part of town when the sun goes down, is like the night and day difference between the slow and fast sections, which the band can flip off at a moment's notice. Like most of the album, it's an energetic rush. At number 3, we have Teddy Picker from Favorite Worst Nightmare. When their debut album was released, it broke all kinds of sales records. It was the fastest selling debut in UK history. And on the first day, it sold more than all of the records on the top 20 combined. Beyond sales, it was critically heralded. They even won the Mercury Prize for Best Album, beating Muse and Thom Yorke, and were declared our generation's most important band. It had to be quite ridiculous for the group itself, grade school chums who just made a fun record. The stress of releasing the album and the intense touring that followed led Andy Nicholson to leave the group, citing fatigue. He was only 19 years old at the time. Andy Nicholson would be replaced by Nick O'Malley, a childhood friend, on bass. He would reportedly learn all bass parts for the debut album in 2 days' time, and would become the full-time bassist for the crew from there on out. O'Malley's first recordings would be on Favorite Worst Nightmare. If there were any doubts of a sophomore slump, this album emphatically thumbed its nose to it. Teddy Picker is a cocky melodic rocker. The drums are a steady metronome beat, and the sharp, angular guitar and bass lines repeat a catchy riff alongside washes of shiny, reverb-soaked guitars. Alex Turner's mouth is moving faster than the instruments in the verses. Saw it and she grabbed it and it wasn't what it seems. The kids all dream of making it, whatever that means. The lyrics are a sly rebuke to the haters and critics in an incredible, impossibly catchy package. It ends with the best kiss-off possible. Presuming that all things are equal, who'd want to be man of the people? When there's people like you. The band is on fire. Hot takes and hot tracks. At number 2, we have Are You Mine from AM. Arctic Monkeys had been known to tinker with their sound between albums, but I don't think anyone anticipated the sonic reinvention that was AM. I'm sure some old school Ride or Die fans may disagree, but it's fairly clearly their finest work. Every song is well written, despite its studio manipulation and dabbling in desperate genres. Funk workouts, hip-hop bravado, glam rock stomps, it all hangs together perfectly. The songs complement each other to create a very satisfying After Dark album. By the time you are done hearing poet John Cooper Clarke's words set to minimalist soul in I Wanna Be Yours, the first time you are shook. If it's not the best rock and roll album of the past 20 years, it's at least in the conversation. Are You Mine was the first taste of what was to come, released a full year and a half before AM would be. Bassist Nick O'Malley came up with the riff, and my friends, that's all the song needs, as it absolutely rips. It's so heavy. Matt Helder's drumming is thunderous, and like the second coming of Keith Moon, energetic precision. The best trick the band learned from Josh Homme, falsetto vocals, are employed to incredible effect. Are you mad tomorrow? Or just mad tonight? The sound is so epically huge and meant to be played at maximum volume, preferably in a speeding car or with the band melting your face right in front of you. Are You Mine was a sexy warning. The best of Arctic Monkeys was yet to come. It's possibly the hardest rocking pop song ever. It's incredible. And when I hear it, I go crazy. At number 1, we have Fluorescent Adolescent from Favorite Worst Nightmare. AM is their greatest collection of songs, but their crowning achievement and very best tune is from their second album, Favorite Worst Nightmare. Despite being barely over 20, Alex Turner would pen a wistful, incandescent, and lovely composition. At such a tender age, the chorus of "The best you ever had, the best you ever had is just a memory," belies sage wisdom beyond his years. It was co-written by Johanna Bennett, an inspiring musician and Turner's girlfriend at the time, while the couple was on holiday. Typically, Turner would write Arctic Monkeys songs by himself, but the couple played a word game where they would rhyme and sing at each other, and that's where the irresistibly fun jumble of words comes from for the verses. Sometimes you want to sing along, but the syllables are coming too fast. Rewatch their performance in 2007 at Glastonbury. It's electric. And you'll see some of the crowd stumble with the lines, but they give it a try with all their heart. The arrangement is precise, with Helder's drumming starting and stopping at the perfect time. In the second verse, a tremolo rhythm guitar is introduced, and it provides a shimmer, furthering the daydreaming feeling looking back in time. The rude Sheffield mates revealed their open hearts. It's a lovely meditation on the passing of time, and it still rocks and rolls as well. It's their absolute best. And now I'll share 2 songs that almost made the list. The first is 505 from Favorite Worst Nightmare. 505 is the perfect song to close out that album. I'm going back to 505. if it's a 7-hour flight or a 45-minute drive. Mentioning a road trip is apt. It sounds like a song for a cruise at night. It starts with whole note strums and jangly treble, before the tempo slowly picks up, and it erupts with "I crumble completely when you cry." The muted emotion rips off the bandage with an anxious catharsis. It's got amazing dynamics, and it's an awesome way to end the album or a live show. The other is Arabella from AM. I have a soft spot in my heart for nearly every song from that album. Arabella further uses the studio to blur the lines between hip-hop and hard rock. The guitars moan sexy slides. The bass provides a thick bump to the bottom, and the drums go from a simple, steady swing to the heavy metal heaven of the chorus. Add in some of the best Alex Turner impressionistic lyrics, and her lips are like the galaxy's edge, and a short, thunderstruck guitar solo, and you've got a live wire jam. Finally, I'll share my pick for the most overrated Arctic Monkeys song, and that is 4 out of 5 from their last album, Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. Critics will tell you it's a divisive album that could be challenging. You're welcome to your opinion on it, but to my ears, it's painfully bad. I know there was a long gap between sessions, and the group likes to switch out their sound, but my first reaction to 4 out of 5 was, what fresh hell is this? They had conquered the globe on AM with incredible songs. What on earth were they thinking, serving up this tuneless, melodramatic lounge rock? It's like being experimental as a middle finger. Its half-baked artifice rings hollow. Who cares about a concept album if it has no real hooks or melodies? Alex Turner got a piano for his 30th birthday. Prior to it, he would say he was low on ideas, and that the piano tricked him into writing new songs. Well, a trick was played on the millions of people who clicked on 4 out of 5 after loving AM. Its dour creep lurches with sterile synths, a middling rhythm, and an incredibly underwhelming chorus that somehow counts for the best on the whole album. I've listened to it a dozen times, and I could barely recall how it goes. Let's not fool ourselves. 4 out of 5 is a crap song. I'm sure I'm not the only one left cold and confused. I'll still hold out hope for a rebound on the car, but after Tranquility Base, Hotel and Casino, I won't be holding my breath. As you're still watching, I wanted to feature a deep cut as well. Typically, I pick my favorite non-album cut, but for Arctic Monkeys, that would be Evil Twin. At over 5 million views on YouTube, it seems to hardly fit that classification. It's a totally badass song, and better than some that would even end up on Suck It and See. So to dig deeper, I'll shine a light on Electricity, the B-side to Are You Mine. Like Evil Twin, Electricity rides a larger-than-life riff, but takes it in a more glam rock direction. Turner had joined Queens of the Stone Age recording sessions around the time, and it takes a page from their desert rock playbook. Macho licks, gender-bending falsettos, and spacey, stoned-out solos. It's another incredible jolt from that era. Check it out. So there you have it. That was undeniably the top 10 best Arctic Monkeys songs. So, how wrong was I? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you somehow think 4 out of 5 is their best song? Let me know. And if there's any artist you'd like to see me rank, let me know in the comments below. Hope you stick around, and thank you for watching. Far from their Sheffield Rouge. Rouge. Okay. English colloquialism. Yes. Colloquialism. Damn it.
Which credits him?
Which he credits.
Yeah, credits him. Like New York credits Alex Turner for changing New York.
Classic couplets. I knew it. Wearing his heart on its sleeve. His heart on its sleeve. Yeah.
On his sleeve.
On his sleeve. Yeah. I thought I could. Okay.
heart doesn't have sleeves.
Arctic monkeys are, I don't know, the Succotan Sea, the Stepadan,
Step it and step.
okay, where the okay. Well, I nailed the first part.
You did, you got it.
I'll
but
punch in the other part. But nighttime trying to think too much. Okay. Why'd you only call me when you the Miley Cyrus what? Yeah. Was hard. I don't know. Okay. After the smish, the smish,
the smishy.
the smishy. Flip off at a moment's notice. Did it again. Chef meal mates.
Chef meal.
A British song. Tried to rush through it. I'm like, that's not right.
British strong.